So guys, we are going live again. What's going on? We are live again. If you're catching this later, thank you guys so much for watching this. If you're joining the live chat so much, thank you guys again so much for watching this. I'm going to be sharing this on all social medias right now, kind of saying that we're going live, talking about some Spider-Man details. Now, the thing about this is, I had actually talked about this yesterday on a live chat, kind of giving a frustrating rant. The thing is a lot more details have come out now about it that now in retrospects, I think I shouldn't just be pointing all the blame at Sony. And I kind of want to just do a updated video on that and just kind of not apologize for what I was ranting about. I was pretty frustrated, and I think a lot of people are going to be joining this. So if you guys are joining this, make sure to comment down below. If you're catching this later, comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. And of course, if you're joining us in the live chat, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this of course, more news. Now, of course, yesterday, there was a big thing that leaked from Deadline where they announced that Sony is keeping Spider-Man and Marvel is not. Now, that's going to piss a lot of us off. You know what I mean? Especially me, who Spider-Man is my number one superhero of all time. He's my favorite superhero of all time. And having him in the MCU, I was so excited to have him in there. Especially, I was telling the story of yesterday of how I had actually ditched class to just watch the trailer for Civil War when I knew he was going to pop up in it. And it sucks because that's the thing, is that Spider-Man, I've been wanting him to interact with all these characters, and it makes me sad because now I don't think we're ever going to get that. I'm never going to get an interaction between him and Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. I'm never going to get an interaction between him and the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and other MCU characters that will keep coming down the line. And really, there's been a lot of people kind of going straight down the middle, and people are either blaming Disney or they're blaming Sony, but really, who's to blame here? And that's kind of where I want to take this is, you know, I did go off on Sony yesterday. And I mentioned some things about Disney, but I think both are to blame personally for this whole thing. But let's really get into this. What are some updated things? And kind of going through what Deadline. The original story was Deadline Hollywood reports that future blockbuster films in the MCU will likely be missing a key figure, Spider-Man, which sucks because actually there's a lot of stuff in the Spider-Man that really ties into the MCU, which IGN actually did a brilliant article really discussing all that and kind of diving into everything that, say, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the plot lines that they're going to have to go up. And actually, I will actually pull that one up because I actually want to go over some of those. But because it is crazy to think, you know, there's a lot of things is, will the MCU survive without the loss of Spider-Man? And IGN is doing a lot of coverage on this, but we will get to that. But going on to the original story, apparently Sony Pictures and Disney/Marvel have failed to reach new terms for the franchise acceptable to both parties. That means Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige will not be a producer on the next two Spider-Man movies, reportedly in the works. Now, yeah, not the best. And of course, guys, if you guys are just joining in here, there are 19 of you guys in here. There is only 3 likes. What the hell is with that? Make sure to hit that like button and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you guys are new here as well. But so yeah, it's kind of shocking news given that the summer's Spider-Man Far From Home seemed to be setting up your Peter Parker as a worthy successor to Tony Stark's Iron Man in the future MCUs. And there were some hints that kind of led up to this as we think about it more. Marvel didn't announce any new Spider-Man films at San Diego Comic-Con. Although the studio did reveal a whole slew of projects in development, they had never really touched on any of those. So what happened? It's all about the money, of course, and under the current arrangement, Disney holds merchandising rights and gets 5% of the dollar gross, how much a film makes at the box office on its first day, according to Deadline. Sony holds the distribution and screen rights to Spider-Man solo films ever since 2002. And Disney was pushing for a 50-50 co-financing agreement going forward, which Sony turned down flat. Nobody backed down, and so here we are now. And of course, I'm reading this article from, I don't even know what website this is, Archeska.com, but pretty much this is almost on every single website that we've discussed now. And really going into this is there's a lot to it. It's a head scratcher on Sony's part, but I think it's also a head scratcher on Disney's part too. You're holding the merchandising right, and I never really thought about that, but they're really holding the merchandising rights and really everything that goes into here. Now, this is what Sony replied back as yesterday, as a lot of people were saying that they were going to boycott them. Much of today's news about Spider-Man has mischaracterized recent discussions about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise. We are disappointed but respect Disney's decision not to have him continue as lead producer of our next live-action Spider-Man film. We hope this might change in the future, but understand that many new responsibilities that Disney has given him, including all their newly added Marvel properties, do not allow him time to work on IP they do not own. Kevin is terrific, and we are grateful for this help and guidance and appreciating the path he has helped us put on, which we will continue. Will they continue it, though? I mean, there's a couple things in there. I think truly we're gonna get to like some of the most saddest parts about it, but Kevin Feige being busy, the guy's always been busy. He can help you make a Spider-Man film still. It doesn't matter like what's going on. He can make you help. He can help you do another Spider-Man film. Now, here's my thing. I think it's 50-50 their fault. I think part of it is Sony's fault, and I definitely think part of it is Disney's fault. They couldn't come down to a compromise, and a lot of it comes down to money and greed. I mean, that is the true definition, and I don't think anyone should be pointing the blame saying, we should boycott Sony, because the difference is that Sony gave us arguably the best Spider-Man film ever, and that's Spider-Verse. They've also given us Spider-Man 2. They gave us a lot of great films, and other than just Spider-Man, they've touched on a lot. But also Disney, who, you know, I like Disney. I really love what they do. I try never to just throw shade at too many studios. I will call you out, though, if you fuck up. And I think Disney did fuck up on this part. 50-50 is a lot, especially when you're only making 5%. 30% maybe I could get, but 50-50. Now, here's also the thing. I know there's a whole argument of like, well, they're going to co-finance it. Like they put in half the money and Sony puts in half the money. And you know what? I can also get that as well. But still, at the same time, it's a little too much to ask for. And Sony's kind of just doing their own thing on that part. The other thing that also look into this whole thing is Disney has been using Spider-Man for a lot of other films, not just the Spider-Man films. He's been in Civil War. He's been in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. That's 5 appearances from someone playing Spider-Man. That's the most that anyone's ever played Spider-Man before. That is something to also put it into major perspective. And I think on that part, we also have to look at Disney and say, well, aren't you kind of using the character too? Like, but also I don't know how much Sony made off of Endgame and Infinity War. Maybe that's why Disney was one to bring it up. So here's the thing. I think there are a lot of things going on with this whole issue. And I think no matter what side you kind of fall on, there's going to be issues for the fans. And really the people who lose out in this, let's talk about it. The people who lose out on this are us, the fans. We lose out on not having Spider-Man anymore inside the MCU. And really, that's kind of the sucky part. The other part is, again, Tom Holland loses out. There's a great clip that Collider actually shared today that I retweeted on my Twitter if you want to go check it out. But really, he was talking about how would he ever be wanting a Venom, and he said, if pretty much summarizing that, if I had to be outside of the MCU, I wouldn't, and I think Venom would have to join the MCU. And I 100% agree with that. I 100%, because I think Spider-Man is really integral for the future of the MCU, and I think what Disney was wanting to do is actually use Norman Osborn as the next main villain for the MCU, because he is kind of the anti-Tony Stark. And I mentioned this yesterday, and I think Disney was wanting to use that. I think greed and money is kind of going both down to whose fault it is. I don't think we can say totally fuck Sony, and I definitely don't think that we can say fuck Disney. I think they are both to blame into this part. It is outrageous that Disney was wanting a 50-50, even though they were going to co-finance it. I understand that, but it's also outrageous that, you know, that Sony couldn't come back with a partnership deal or something to that to please Disney. Disney can't own every fucking studio. Disney can't own every single thing. And I'm saying that as someone who really loves Disney. I mean, if you look at my background, I got tons of Toy Story shit, and I'm just a big fan of Toy Story. And I do see a lot of you guys are in the live chat, and I will be going over there to read some of your guys' thoughts. But it's just tough. It's a really tough situation. Of course, we've had Ryan Reynolds' response to the fans asking him to save Spider-Man. We see Hawkeye himself, Jeremy Renner, also D. But it really does suck kind of diving into what is going to happen now with the future of the MCU and Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3, John Watts not currently attached to the next Spider-Man Sony film, which I thought that was actually announced yesterday, but I guess that is not. That is also something kind of going on. I'm trying to find this article from yesterday. I should have been a little bit more prepared, but it very sucks in this whole thing. And really, we are the ones that are losing out, especially with Tom Holland. I mean, he signed in to play Spider-Man in the MCU. We're not. And I know Sony reportedly has 2 more solo films. And really, I think the big whole overarching thing for this is, what do we do with Sony now? So all the MCU plot threads that if Sony Spider-Man will likely have to abandon if we go forward. This is like the most interesting thing I've ever seen. The legacy of Iron Man. That's the biggest one. Relationships with the other MCU heroes that we kind of saw. We see Captain America. We see Doctor Strange. We see him handing off the Infinity Gauntlet with Captain Marvel. What the hell? He's also going to have to never talk about going to space. The Vulture's motivations. The Vulture will pretty much not have to be in this film because his motivations happen to deal with the Battle of New York and Tony Stark and, of course, damage control. That's a big one as well. And will Vulture just not ever show up again in a Spider-Man sequel? Will he just not be a part of the Sinister Six that they were obviously going up to? And, of course, Mysterio's plan. In the same vein as Vulture, much of Mysterio's villainous origins was a result of Tony Stark. Also, Mysterio's made-up story about the Eternal Elementals was based around the Snap. While the whole identity reveal twist could remain intact in the third Spider-Man film, pretty much everything else surrounding it would be swept under the rug. And, of course, everything else is the Thanos, the Snap, and the Blip. Those are going to be some big issues that they're going to have to not touch on anymore because you can't. You can't touch on those because it ties into the MCU. Now, I mean, honestly, the easiest way to go around this is he gets sucked into a Spider-Verse type shit and gets in there. But I don't want that. And personally, like, if he's not in the MCU, I'm sad to say this, but I don't care to, like, I want to continue the story, but I don't want it to be half-assed. I don't want it to just be him tying into Venom. I don't want that. I want his story originally shown as it was in Sony. And I think a lot of you guys are not with Sony, but within the MCU. And I think a lot of you guys were going to do that. And I think a lot of us just, the big hashtag that we should all start right now is hashtag save Spider-Man. That's all we need. We don't need to say fuck Sony or fuck Disney. We just need to keep saying this hashtag and really give this movement, because really this hurts the fans. This hurts Tom Holland as well, who's really stuck in between anyone who's involved with the Spider-Man franchise. And it's very sad. It is very, very disappointing to see that. But my big question is, who do you like? I don't think there's anyone really to blame. I think it's all kind of right in the middle. And I wanted to do this update video kind of on it because a lot of people are still commenting on the other video going, well, it's Disney's fault. Well, I'm more in the middle now. I think it's personally all their fault. And I think it's really down the middle and whose fault it could be, whose fault it isn't be. And, you know, it sucks. Now, will the MCU survive the loss of Spider-Man? Another article that IGN did by Jesse Sheen. You know, in depressing news, this is depressing news for all of us. You know, the MCU has been defined by the way it responds to sort of their limitations and right issues right in the beginning. And diving into that, you know, now that they have almost all their characters, we all know that Spider-Man, I mean, this iteration of Spider-Man deserves to be where he was formed at. He came in Civil War, and that's where he was at. And really, it sucks to see like that we won't be getting him. I mean, Spider-Man will succeed with Disney, with Sony, whoever it goes to. It's a very popular character. People will obviously be very disappointed that we're not going to be getting another Spider-Man inside the MCU. I still have hope that something will come out eventually that says they have rekindled ties and that they're going to continue this. Because I really did think that the next Spider-Man was going to deal with Daredevil. I really think it was going to deal with Daredevil coming in, and I think that would have been a really nice intersection in there. I think Kraven would have been there. I think they were really going to further out more into the Spider-Man. He was going to be definitely one of the main players going further inside the MCU. So let's look at this live chat. Captain Gaming, I wouldn't choose both. I wouldn't choose sides. Both are fighting because of money, pretty much. Spending films, Marvel, Sony are the blame, and why Disney doesn't buy Sony. I mean, they're not gonna buy Sony. I don't even think legally they probably could. And one, Sony's not on the market like Fox was. Joey's, this has broken my heart. It breaks my heart too. I've really been thinking about it all day. The level of stupidity is extremely high with this one. It is. It's like, just keep the same damn deal. It's obviously all about money, and that's all it is. Hi Zach. Film speak. Wow, you Disney shill. How dare you blame Sony? Haha, right there with you, dog. It sucks. It truly sucks. I really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but they have to stop with making these movies full on about Iron Man. I don't want to see Iron Man Jr. See, I argue, I don't think he is Iron Man Jr. I just think that's a part of who he is. That was a main relationship of who put him into the MCU. And I think the Iron Man Jr. thing's kind of just something that people bring about. Like, yeah, cool, his suit has powers. So do many of the comics issues with Spider-Man's suit. Like, there have been tons of Spider-Man suits, and they want to go different. So, like, that's my whole argument against it. I don't see him as Iron Man Jr. He is fucking Spider-Man. It is pure greed from both. I totally agree. Marvel's to blame. They are looking for more money. I don't think it's Marvel. I think it's Disney. I think it's Disney looking for more money, but I also think Sony. I'm curious. I mean, there's not a lot that's like, Disney has not said anything, so I can't really like go against them so much and you know, I do feel bad that I went a little bit too hard against Sony yesterday, but it is true. Disney have enough money as it is. They don't need more, you know, but that's a corporation. You want to gain more money. Future filmmaker, I blame Sony, but you can't. Like, it's hard to blame Sony at the same time. I mean, it's sounding like a hypocrite because of yesterday, but it is kind of true. Honestly, I never really liked anything from Disney in recent years, either going for remakes or sequels as usual. I can't agree with that. I think Disney has done a really good job the last couple of years. I mean, and it's just everything kind of under them. I love Toy Story 4. I thought it was a fantastic film. It's my favorite movie of this year. And when you also look at some other films, I mean, Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, they created those. Star Wars The Force Awakens was excellent. It was a great return to Star Wars. I'm in the minority on that, I feel like. But I think Disney has done a good job. I think, yeah, are they making some stuff that they probably shouldn't? Yeah. Pikachu Cat, Disney needs to compromise if they really care about Spider-Man, in my opinion. I agree. And I think Kevin Feige is the big one who really does love this. And again, I think we're in a kind of a James Gunn situation. This is going to be kind of a waiting game, and eventually we're going to get that because when James Gunn got fired, people were fucking pissed. I mean, people were really fucking pissed. And especially me, like for me, I was like, I don't even want to see another Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I don't care to because I want him to finish the story. I don't care if he's writing the script. I want him to finish the story. Well, yeah, he's finishing the story. And look at that. Like a year later, he got Suicide Squad and that. So maybe we'll get Tom Holland in the DC universe and this. I don't know. I'm actually worried that they're going to reboot the Spider-Man character and actually put a new person in him in Venom. Like, I'm actually really nervous about that. Adam Dali, nice to have you in here, man. Disney is to blame. I feel they seem to be pushing Sony out, asking for 50% of the movie revenue, and it's a steep, considering they have the merch rights and theme park rights as well. Now, I get that, but they're also talking about co-financing it. I think if Sony came back and asked for some merchandising rights, I think that would have helped just a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did and Disney said no. But I think if they're co-financing it, the 50-50, while it's a big push, I mean, maybe 30 would have been a little bit better, but still. Matt Boy, I hope it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. I mean, it won't. I think we're going to get that. But yeah, Paul Flynn, fans should march on D23 and protest for Disney and Sony to resolve their differences. It's not up to us, and that's what sucks. Disney are a slimy company. I mean, every company is kind of slimy, isn't it? Disney is building a ride at Disneyland based around Spider-Man. So if Sony pulls Spider-Man back, Spider-Man will be leaving the park as well. Not true. They own the rights to Spider-Man. He's been in the parks even since before then. So he's been a major part of it. My guess is D23 is this week in the theme park panel Sunday. They will come to a new deal before Sunday. Maybe. Films to fuck it. Cancel the Hollandverse. Bring back Garfield. Make the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Bring him into Venom 2. Give us the Aunt May spinoff. Sinister 6 movie directed by ABRD and have Jared Leto's Morbius role. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I wanted Charlie Cox, Daredevil in it. Me too, man. New deal will happen by Sunday, I bet, before D23 Sunday's theme park. Like I said, I don't know. That theme right's still happening though, because they own the rights, and even if Sony pulls out, it doesn't matter. They still own the rights to do that. Because Disney, let's be honest, always knew that this could have happened, so they're gonna make sure that they don't have to pull that damn right out, and they're not gonna pull the fucking right out. It's too much. It's almost like I'm pretty sure it's like 50% done already. Maybe a new Venom and Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Tom Hardy. Yeah, but I don't really care to see that personally. I really don't. Just leave Venom by himself or put him into the MCU. Venom 2 should maybe show Spider-Man as an end credit scene, or maybe make a Daredevil and Spider-Man crossover movie. They can't do Daredevil though because Marvel owns Daredevil. Devastated these new Spidey is my favorite character from the Marvel roster. Same here. I hope they do whatever it takes to save Spider-Man. Dub, oh, well, I love your channel, dude. Finally was able to catch one of your live streams. Thanks so much, man. 50-50 is too much ball, so they could have worked for a better deal. I do think they could have worked for a better deal, and that's kind of where I'm at with this. Really, I think on the ending themes of this, and again, if you're catching this, guys, I'm going to be ending this very soon, so thank you guys again so much for watching this. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you guys are new here. I do tons of kind of update videos like this. I've been doing more live streams. I also do have a Patreon down below where I'll be adding a lot more content to that as well, so if you want to help support me a little bit more, hit that down there. If you can't, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you guys never miss out on a video, early movie reviews, and all sorts of stuff like that. Hit up Sandwich on Films as well to see movies early. But all my closing thoughts on this, I think truly, like, even though this title is Sony versus Disney, it is a Sony versus Disney thing. It's the mouse versus the spider, and for me, I think it is really just both to blame. I think there are things that Sony is doing that is wrong, and I think Disney is doing stuff that is wrong on them. And honestly, can't say fuck them both because I don't know all the details, and I'll never will. That's the truth. If I were to be the optimistic person in here, I would just say that I think they will reach a new deal. I think within the end of the year. I think if we don't hear anything by the end of the year on this deal, that deal is done. Disney, Spider-Man is officially out of the Sony verse or whatever, and they're going to have to do something about it. And I think they will still reference the MCU, but kind of how the Netflix ones do, but really not that much. It really does suck to hear that. It sucks to say that, but I think that's kind of being the pessimistic me, I think I don't want to get hope. I want to be truly surprised, kind of how surprised I was on this one. But as of right now, I don't really have hope that they're going to renew this contract. And I think we will see an alternate Spider-Man inside this universe. And I feel bad for Tom Holland. I feel bad for John Watts. I feel bad for anyone involved with the Spider-Man franchise right now. I feel bad for us fans in general and giant Spider-Man fans like me who now don't get to see the full fledged of what the MCU could possibly be with the rest of these characters. I mean, Norman Osborn, fuck. He could have been a great villain. Sinister Six as the next Avengers lineup, fuck. That would have been great too. And really, I hope that's not the end because everything Far From Home setup really got me really fucking excited. But thank you guys again so much for watching this. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Kind of just going through again, guys. Hashtag Save Spider-Man. Go over to my Twitter. Hashtag that as well. I'll be retweeting all those. I'm going to be saying the same thing as well. Let's save Spider-Man for the MCU. Sony, Disney, if you're watching this, I love you both. Just please make up. It's like having a gruesome divorce, but with one of my favorite characters, guys. But thank you guys again so much for watching this. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Comment it down below if you're catching this later. But guys, of course, until next time, with great power comes great responsibility, and with a lot of fucking money, please, 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 with this great character, don't fuck it up. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Until next time, stay classy.